Today on TLC Live, as the border crisis keep getting out of control, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signs bill making illegal immigration a state crime. The new law would authorize police to arrest people they suspect cross the Rio Grande between ports of entry. Abbott also signed a bill making more than $1 billion for more border barriers. Eagle Pass residents fears for safety as migrant influx continues. People who live in Eagle Pass say this is a stressful time as they worry for their own safety and their property. To help us understand the situation, we will have Kyle Sinclair, healthcare executive and former Republican nominee of U.S. Congress Texas District 20, and also John Lujan, Texas House of Representatives District 118. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to TLC Live. As every Wednesday, I'm Andrea Gomez. Orlando Sanchez is in a special assignment. So, as I said, border crisis is still getting out of control. And Monday, we have breaking news. Today, Monday and Tuesday, we were just talking about the border crisis and also a new law that is just signed by Governor Greg Abbott. So, to explain what it means, what it will be the consequences of this law, and why Texas has to take control of the situation because the federal government is not seems like is not capable to do it. So we have Kyle Sinclair. He's a former candidate. Kyle, welcome to TLC Live again, and it's good to see you. The year is about to end, but not the border crisis.
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me again. It's always great to be on the show, and thank you for the great work you guys do to help us understand some of these crises. But we have a major problem on our hand, and it impacts everybody from national, federal, state, local, city. So I'm even though I'm not running and didn't win my election, I'm still very tapped into the community and some of the border issues. So watching this closely and talking to people all across Texas and particularly some of these border towns and some of the issues that's going on. So it's a
Yeah,
mess.
you're very involved, and I was talking to John Lujan yesterday, and he said, let's have also Kyle on the show because he is still very involved. He understands the situation, and he's gonna help us also to understand the bill that it was just signed by Governor Abbott. It was like SB 4 and SB 3. So please help us to understand what is those bills, where it will take place, and why Texas has to take control in their own hands of the situation because it seems like the federal government is still making this worse.
Absolutely. I think you got to start even further than that and why Texas had to take this drastic step in it. Number one, I'll start with I support it. I support protecting the sovereignty of this nation and our borders. So everybody knows the Constitution under the United States, Article 4, is where the border and protection and sovereignty of this nation falls under the President of the United States. And I remember when all this was starting to hit, when Biden took administration, that's when I was running for office. I visited the border multiple times. Like I said, still have a lot of connection. And so as I was running, and even to this day, I kept saying that if the President of the United States is not or will not protect the sovereignty of this nation, the governors must step up and help protect it. And that is the great benefit of the Constitution of the United States and the Texas Constitution that allows the governor to be able to do that. In addition to that, was not instrumental or involved in the HB4 particularly. So I reached out to a good friend of mine, Senator Pete Flores, who helped sponsor and make that bill come to reality, and spoke in length with him last night about particularly some of the bills and some of the things that have gone into the bill to protect it. Number one, I think we all know the border wall itself does not stop illegal immigration. The border wall is a deterrent and an opportunity to slow it down so that our Border Patrol agents have the ability to come in and do their job in doing that. And there's been an ongoing battle between, not only the Biden administration, but Texas leadership here from Ken Paxton to Governor Abbott. Have been directly involved in some of the issues that have continued to have that battle. But there's a lot of pieces in this bill that I support, and we know it's going to be shot down. I know Pete Flores yesterday was talking about that They will obviously they will go against it legally, and they've already done so. And there's people like Joaquin Castro and uh, Doggett have already signed measures to try to stop this act in Texas. But many aspects we need to. I had the prior Border Patrol chief, Rodney Scott, that I was talking with last night also about this. And, he says it great, which is, we have two different things. One of them is the security of our border, and the second one is immigration problem. And they're not hand in hand. And we've got to separate those two and really talk about securing and knowing who's coming in. But I'll pause there, but there's a lot of information going on right now.
So I wanted to explain the SB4, started with that, that is giving a power of a local and a state law enforcement to enforce immigration's laws. So explain to us to understand not only what that means, but what can be the consequence. We already know that we also have a crisis when it comes to law enforcement elements. We don't have enough police, not only local but state and the counties. So now, if they have to also do what the federal government is supposed to do, so give us a perspective of that.
Yeah, and so even talking with Senator Pete Flores yesterday, he talked about there's $5 billion that goes to the anybody involved in protecting the border. So that's Texas DPS, that's any law enforcement that's activating Texas National Guard. So that's a big part of this bill. The other part is $1 billion for the border wall, which will help secure and provide funding to finish the border wall. That does need to happen, and technology that goes with it. But in regards to some of the punishment, it's 10 years. 10 years for people who try to smuggle or human traffic that have come in. And that's a major issue. I'm in San Antonio, and I was talking to, again, Pete Flores and John Lujan yesterday, and the 22,000 people that are in El Paso are being processed through by ICE and Border Patrol, and they're coming through San Antonio. And so there's some problems, but that allows and gives our law enforcement the ability to, again, stop this mass flood of people, to protect our nation, to know who's coming in. And you hear all the hype of CNN and all the other left-wing leading media outlet talking about the racism and all the things that are going on, but the reality is there's an ugly side of border when you have open policies, and this is what the Biden administration has done. It's send a signal across to the cartel, and you're seeing floods and floods, record-setting numbers, millions of people coming to the United States. Last I heard was 172 people that are on the terrorist watch list. We had people that are killing citizens, but I can go on and on in regards to some of the taxpayers and what's being funded for that, but that gives a lot of weight for the Texas government and Texas leadership, and those are actually in the front lines to protect the sovereignty not only of Texas but this nation.
You just said something very important, Kyle, and is the media is pretty much talking about races and victimizing
Yeah.
the immigrants that are crossing the country illegal. What about us that we're already here? We're paying taxes. We're doing everything what we're supposed to do. This is affecting our health system. This is affecting our law enforcement. This is affecting the security, the safety. Eagle Pass people are like really desperate and saying like we need help. We don't feel safe. We don't feel our properties are safe. So why the media is not touching that and is saying this is like racist, poor people, and this is again is unconstitutional. What is unconstitutional? So
Yeah, I mean,
give
I
us a
think
perspective of
I
that.
Yeah, to your point, I think, and I keep sharing that the Biden administration is an American last. There's some videos I find ironic that you have veterans being patted down by the airport security and who served this country, who bled for this country, who fought for this country, but yet you have illegal immigrants who crossed illegally. They didn't come through the port of entry, and they get free airplane tickets. They don't have an ID. They're not vetted. They get free healthcare, which is my sector. They get free cell phones. They get free dental work. They get free, 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 free. While we as Americans are suffering. So this administration under the Biden administration isn't American last. It is the American citizens are last. And we've got to continue calling out the left-wing media that turns a blind eye to who caused the problem. That's what I find ironic. President Trump, there's been media stuff about his comments. You got this bill that's now creating chaos for the left-wing media, but they're attacking the people that are trying to fix the problems, and they're not showcasing or highlighting what caused it, and they never will. So that's where, networks like yourself and podcasts across this nation of people on the ground, like TLC, that's where their value is. That's where you really learn and see what's going on in this country. But it's sad to see, because I myself am a prior vet, it's sad to see that illegal immigrants who break our federal laws get precedent over veterans. And, I know the VA is involved in taking care of them. And so absolutely a disaster and a mess, and something we've got to do. Not only, again, I ran for federal, but not only from the U.S. level, from Congress and Senate and President, but we've got to get state and local involvement. And that's where I've always appreciated Governor Abbott busing illegal immigrants to cities that say they want to, as well as them now being able to protect and have some meat to stop some of this burden that's coming to these cities. So to your point, Andrew, I mean, I talked to people in El Paso just yesterday that, I mean, the businesses are tired of it, the people are tired of it, the resources are being tied to them, they're unsafe. You get, migrant farmers that are having, wires broken, cattle let out, you get speed chases and car crashes. I mean, there's an ugly side to the border and open door policy that this administration has.
And it seems like the media is not talking about that. It's only talking about like victimizing the illegal
Yep.
immigrants. And the problem goes beyond, because it's not only that the illegal immigrants are crossing and are going to cities like San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and other states, but also is the crime. I mean, we just heard, like, I guess 2 weeks ago, fentanyl. It was a big, big issue over there in North Carolina, that they found fentanyl when on the traffic stop, and it was enough to kill 27 million people. So it is the
Yep.
fentanyl problem, is the child trafficking, and women trafficking. So the problem goes beyond. Whoever is getting advantage of this and getting money and getting their business bigger is the criminals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and Senator Cruz talked about it. I mean, and I have military advisors that are very tapped into some of the, not only the cartel network, but the Hezbollah networks that are in Mexico. It is, we've seen epidemic levels of human trafficking, sex trafficking, and drug trafficking in this nation. Stuff that I have never seen in my lifetime, and I'm sure many of us have never seen in our lifetime. Epidemic levels that are catastrophic to the community and to the culture of America. Look, I'm for legal immigration. I always say that. I'm for legal immigration. I get why people are wanting to come here. America still is the greatest country in this world, period, hands down. The American flag still represents freedom internationally and around the world. I'm proud of that, and I'm grateful for that. Come legally is what we're saying. Come legally. Come through the ports of entry. Wait your line. Get the visa, the green cards. Work on your citizenship, and absolutely go that way. And I think that's what's frustrating to Americans and to those who have come to the United States legally, is that very thing, is the illegal side of it. And the Biden administration is the biggest human trafficker than we have. They're bigger than the cartel because they're enlisted in it. They are pushing it. They're actively doing it. I talked to a family last year from Angola, Africa, that was here in San Antonio, and they were going to Maine, Portland, Maine. That's what it was. And I said, "Well, how did you get to it?" And they spoke Portuguese, so I had Catholic Charities translating, and they said they were just told that's where they need to go. So I mean, there's some NGOs that are involved, like Catholic Charities, have absolute hand in some of this human trafficking. And regardless if you like it or not, anybody who crosses the southern border has a direct tie to the cartel. I don't care if you're doing it legally or illegally, you have to pass through the cartel. Andrew, I have stories, videotape stories of people that had groups of 170 coming from Mexico, Montreal, Mexico, all the way. By the time they got to the border, they had seven. and they would talk about the killings. And one thing we don't talk about is the cartels fighting against each other because how profitable human trafficking is. It's a multi-billion dollar industry for human trafficking. Right along with that is the sex trafficking. I'm working with Bear County right now, and actually January we're getting it passed to make Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Bear County. It's a huge hub for sex trafficking in San Antonio, and they have broken up multiple rings. It's just a disgusting side that nobody wants to talk about. All they want to talk about is everybody trying to come over and why they're coming over, but the ugly side of it is everything else that comes with it.
Well, you just said something very important. You are pro legal immigration. I am an
Yeah.
immigrant. I came from Colombia 25 years ago, and I came for because this is the land of opportunities. This is the best country in the world.
Yep.
And I was like, I couldn't wait enough to just get out of my country and come to this country to make a better life. But I came here legal, and I went through the whole law. I went through the process. I went to the embassy in Colombia, the United States embassy, and I went to ask for a visa to come to this country in a legal way. My parents are now living here. I brought them here. So I did the whole process. And getting a visa in our countries is very difficult. Very difficult, no
Yeah.
matter how many papers, documents you show them, because every day they ask you for more things and they still deny the visa to a good people. But you just come to the border to Mexico and United States and you just cross like nothing. So that is easier. So that's why people are coming here that way, because they go to the
Yeah.
embassies in Latin America and they get the visa denied. And these people that they want to come only for vacation, or they want to come to work, or they want to visit their relatives, and they get the visa denied. So that's also the system is broken in that way, because it's
Correct.
extended to the embassies in Latin American countries, especially in Latin American countries, it's more difficult to get a visa. So they just decide to come. They pay somebody. And they have to go across the many countries in between, especially people from South America, like I am coming from, and they get into Mexico and cross the border because it's easier for them to do that. And they're also welcoming them. And you're saying they're giving the plane tickets to go to another states, the free health, free dentist, free hotel rooms. And it's ridiculous. I just paid $5,000 for my
Yep.
son to go to the dentist to get out the wisdom teeth. $5,000. I'm not getting anything for free. I'm paying
Yep.
everything. I'm paying taxes, and I'm paying as every taxpayer uh, to sustain what is going on, the crisis. Because when they say free, nothing is for free. We are paying, and
Yeah.
everything
You know, it's
is
interesting you
getting
say
more
that.
expensive every single day. So of course, I'm pro immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself,
Yeah.
and I'm raising two kids that they were born here, but I brought my parents to. My dad
Yep.
is a U.S. citizen. My mom has a green card, and he's about to get her U.S. her citizenship. And I went through the whole process. So of course we want that, but we
Well,
don't
and
want
so
this
I'm
crisis going on.
No, we don't. It's actually, I mean, America's founded on immigration. Again, I'm a sixth generation immigrant myself. I was born and raised in America, but go back six generations. My family came, and the same way. Here's what's ironic is it wasn't until Governor Abbott started busing people to these sanctuary cities that their eyes were kind of open. Right now, the mayor of New York literally has met with the Biden administration 10 times on how to fix the problem that's going on in New York. So in reality, open borders, pro-immigration, whether illegal or legal, there are an ugly side of it, and that it is when it's not in your face, it's not a problem. But when it becomes in your face, you can't turn off the TV or not listen to it because the left side is not going to share it. When you see it on the streets and your homeless population increases, your crime population increases, your sex trafficking increases, the drug trafficking increases, you can't hide that. And that's why you're seeing all these now quote unquote blue cities are now pissed off. They're mad. They want a safe community, just like everybody does. And so we're hoping that you will absolutely see the shift of people realizing that this immigration and open border policy is a train wreck and a disaster, and it literally is. My concern is that I've had multiple military generals that are still advising me saying that we had the biggest threat of an attack of the homeland that we've ever seen, bigger than 9/11. You have military age males that are crossing the border right now, even as we speak today and yesterday and all the El Paso. Military age males. They're not asylum seekers. You don't travel without your family. You said yourself you brought your family. So we have a lot of major issues that have blossomed and I mean I don't know what the answer to it is. Nobody does, and it's broken. Other than when you secure a border, we know who's coming in. I will tell you, every immigrant that I've seen that I've been experienced to or exposed to in San Antonio, a lot of them have Department of Homeland Security cell phones issued. I've seen the box, seen the pictures, seen the bag they give them. Every cell phone has a chip and a tracking and an apartment. You could absolutely find out a lot of where everybody is, and ICE could round up and you could secure your border. So in some regards, I support Trump of doing that mass deportation and coming in legally, but we've got to fix our problem.
So talking about, you just mentioned Trump, and that was gonna is leading my next question. So 2024, we're gonna have presidential elections. So how do you see the political field next year with this border crisis, the economy crisis that we're also facing right now? And I don't know what is gonna be the economic forecast for next year. It doesn't look good. So how do you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, I think my opinion, I'm still very close in touch with it. I think they're working as of yesterday. Colorado is trying to say that Trump can't be on the ballot. So you have, that issue is going to be fought in the courts or probably go all the way to the Supreme Court. My biggest thing is there's fear, and you can see fear and some of the drastic steps, illegal, I think, in my opinion, of what they're doing to stop a former candidate and the front runner for the Republican Party to run again. And I think there's massive fear and things in place. And so you're going to do everything you can to figure out how to stop him from running. What I find ironic is every time they pull a stunt like this, his voter base and his base continues to swell and grow and grow. So I'm absolutely looking forward to Trump running again, supporting President Trump. I do like several of the candidates that were running, but I think this is definitely the time and person. And Trump is literally one of the only people that I think that can help the sovereignty of this nation, not only from the border, but the economy side and a lot of our issues that we have in this country.
I was watching probably 2 days ago Fox, that is, more conservatives, and they were interviewing people in the street in different states, and many people that vote Democrat, vote for Joe Biden. They said, "I don't care who's going to be the Republican nominee. I'm going to vote Republican because Biden administration is literally destroying the country." So,
Yeah.
what is your feedback in your community and San Antonio and Bahar County?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely is. Bear County is an interesting county, one of the worst Democratic-held counties in regards to the race. The red wave that was supposed to happen in the midterm elections of 2022 slaughtered. So I hope people continue to open up their eyes, and the best way to do that is when it hits your pocketbook and when it impacts you, your family, and the security of your community. I do hope people open up their eyes and look at that what we had 4 years ago to what we've had in the last 2 years. Sad to see that our country is being destroyed from within, and one administration has that much impact across this nation. So I'm absolutely for change from this last administration, and we're seeing that across the city here in San Antonio as well. But you have your loyal stronghold Democrats that it doesn't matter what is going on. They're blue and blue through and through, and they don't care. They don't care about the economy. They don't care about the crime. It's just I find it fascinating that people are so still diehard that you can't just literally open your eyes and walk out the door and see what's going on and why you wouldn't want change.
Yeah, I don't know if it's loyal or blind.
I agree.
Yeah. So what do we expect with the SB4 and SB3? I was reading probably it say that it will start in March. What we expect, not only on terms that when it's going to start, but also we expecting also many organizations to probably file a lawsuit against these bills that it was just signed by Governor Abbott. How do you see that the coming up on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think even talking to Senator Flores last night, it's the same thing. They're expecting it. They do recognize that it's going to be fought in the courts. You had another one in regards to the razor wire being cut by the Border Patrol. That was stayed, I think, 2 days ago. So there's legal precedence on that. Governor Abbott has the ability to do that. So I think there's a lot of fighting going on. The thing I find interesting about this, like people like Congressman Castro and Congressman Doggett that are signing petitions and trying to get the Democratic Party to support it, being racist. I find it interesting. If this country is so racist, why do we have tens of thousands and literally millions of people of color coming across this border illegally, paying the cartel, putting their lives in their own hands, and literally to the point where last year we had the deadliest human trafficking smuggling instance in the country was here in San Antonio. So I find it ironic that this country is not a racist country. And the best way, I think Morgan Freeman said it best, that the best way to stop racism is stop talking about it. But I don't see racism across this country. I live in the seventh largest city in the United States, and I don't. It's a beautiful city with a lot of culture and a lot of different nationalities, and so I find that ironic that you have literally people paying and literally dying to come to this country that is so racist. So I
Yeah,
don't see it.
I
I
don't
don't
get it
agree with
either.
it.
I never feel
So
discriminated. The contrary, I always
yeah,
feel welcome. And I came, as I said, 25 years ago. I was not speaking English at all. I'm still learning English. Orlando wouldn't be here, he will say like, "Yes, you're still learning English."
yeah.
He's my English teacher. Um, but I'm still learning English, and I try to immerse in understand the country, the culture, the traditions, and I celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving in my country. So you have to immerse in the culture because you're coming here. So you need to learn the language. You need to learn the culture. You need to learn the law. You need to learn how to navigate the system. So I don't feel discriminate. What racist? This is the only country in the world that welcome everybody from everywhere. If you go to my country and try to work over there, if you're not from Colombia, forget it. Forget it.
Yeah.
Even if you marry a Colombian, it's gonna take you years and years. And we don't have the opportunities that this country offer. So what are they talking about?
I don't know. It's ironic. You go to any other country besides America, and you'll literally be put in jail trying to cross the border illegally. So we're the only country, to your point, that does it. And you have an administration that is abiding or that is abiding that type of mentality where they're literally implicit in human trafficking. This is literally one of the worst human trafficking and slave endeavored type people because let's not kid ourselves. Again, anybody across the southern border has a direct tie to the cartel. They know where you came from. They know which city you're going to in the United States. So if you have not paid off your debt, they know how to get a hold of your family. And this coming from like 164 different countries around the world. So, I mean, America is the beacon, any war, the American flag. So I don't see the racism. I'm not saying racism is not in our country and we don't have a history of a deep-rooted racism, but the America I grew up in, I don't see it being racist. And I hope to God that people that as you get out and start, that's the beautiful part about running for any office. You get to talk to hundreds and thousands of people in my district and District 20, which is predominantly 70% Hispanic, and I'm a white guy running in there, and they opened me with open arms and felt the love and appreciation and actually supported what I was, the message I was sharing. I had tens of thousands of people that came out and voted for me for that very thing. So America is a beautiful country. We have problems like any other country, but it is still the greatest country in this world. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's nowhere else. It's nowhere else to run. if
yeah.
if we want to run somewhere else, it's nowhere. Um, Kyle, explain to us what is the because I was reading also the last 3 months, probably October, November, and December, we have the most people, the numbers, the highest number of immigrants crossing the border out of the history and the entire in the
Yeah.
entire history in the world in this country. So what do we expect to be the impact? Because I mean, I talk to a lot of business owners and they complain for the same. We don't have workers. And that's start happening after the pandemic. We don't have workers. So where these people, uh, all of the millions of the immigrants are crossing the border, what are they doing? They're just getting anything for free and they're not working. What are they doing? Because everybody's complaining about the same thing. We don't have workers.
Yeah, and you're seeing not only the workers, but the side of it that I find interesting too is a lot of them are coming with skill sets. And there are jobs to be had in America, and there's jobs that Americans don't want. I get it. I get some of the labor force stuff. I'm not ignorant or blind eye to that aspect. And there are a force um, of legal immigration. You do that. We in America still to this day, anywhere from 1 million to about 1.5 million legal immigrants get their visa or get or get their green card and here in America. Still to this day, every administration still does that. The difference is the illegal side that is impacting this country and the cost and the burden that it is on the taxpayers and the people of these cities. Same thing. The migrant center here in San Antonio, talk to the business around there, the loitering, the dirty, the homeless population has increased, the drug paraphernalia on the streets has increased. I talked to an HOA, went to an HOA meeting around the migrant center here in San Antonio, and they had immigrants walking through the yard and looking through trash, and they had people stuff stolen through their garage. So there again is an ugly side of what happens when you start having people that have no job, no income, no ability to work and provide for themselves. I saw people that had children, and it broke my heart. I have a big blended family of 8 kids, and it broke my heart that you're taking your measures and to your own hand to be able to do that, to come to a place with nothing on your back. So it's very, very sad, and um, it's a very real problem, and one that Congress and Senate have got to fix the security of our nation first, the border, stopping people coming, and then you've got to fix this immigration problem of why people are coming. How do we get them in quicker? How do we process the true asylum seekers? The couple I mentioned about from Angola, Africa, that's a war-torn country. It was a husband, a wife, and a daughter. Great people. And I get it. That I get. War-torn country, true asylum. That's a beautiful story. Come to America and hope they have a great future and a great multi-generation for their family. But the majority of these people are not asylum seekers, and we know that, and we're still letting them in.
Absolutely. Well, Kyle, if you still have time, don't leave. We just have John Lujan join us in the program. John Lujan, Texas House of Representative, District 118. Welcome to TLC. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a busy schedule, especially we are about to end the 2023 and with a lot of projects and expectations of a 2024. So we're talking about, John, the SB4 and the SB3, but you are now in office. So give us the inside of this new bill that was just signed by Governor Abbott.
Well, I tell you what the part that bothers me the most out of all of this is the political games that are played with this. I know the Governor Abbott signed it; things are going to go in. Now it's already being challenged in the court. But this all goes back. I just caught the kind of tail end of what Kyle was talking about, and I agree. This what the part that bothers me the most is that we're having to spend a lot of money from the state side because of the incompetence of our federal government, and especially from the administration point of view. All of us are pro-immigrants. I'm very, very pro-immigrant. What I'm totally against is a disorganized, non-functioning process that's in place. Antiquated asylum-seeking laws that, like they were discussed, people get here and can claim asylum, and then they get a court hearing that's 5, 6 years later. What the heck? They're not going to be there in 5 or 6 years, and this whole thing is messed up. And they know the things that are going on. They know that sex trafficking has happened. They know that the people on the other side of the border, the cartels, are becoming rich of this. All of these things we know about, but yet there's just a failure to act. And because they don't act, we're suffering. And as a state, we have to spend money, pass legislation that's controversial because we got to try to get a handle on it because our federal and it most of this lies on the federal government side, and because they're not doing these things are just getting worse, and it's really bothering me, and the bad thing is I don't know what a solution is. I've been on the phone with Eddie Morales, who's a Democrat down from the Eagle Pass area. I'm in text with Representative Henry Cuellar, our U.S. Congressman, as well as Tony Gonzalez, our U.S. Congressman. We're on a text thing, and it's just difficult for all of us. And the answer comes: they got to quit playing political on this. And I think it's kind of moving to become more nonpartisan, but you still see it being played out even on the federal side, the partisan play on this. And if they don't get this right, I'm telling you, we're destroying. Texas is hurting right now. Let me tell you this, Andrea. I just found out that we're having an excess of between 2 and 3,000 people coming across points that have never had that experience. And what they're doing is they're just loading them on buses and sending them to San Antonio. And I talked to the mayor in San Antonio yesterday, Mayor Nuremberg, and he says, "Man, we can't do anymore." He goes, "We've done our part. We have a facility to hold them. We're shipping them out." He goes, "Now our money that comes to the city of San Antonio to give them airfare and bus to other cities in the United States has run dry." And he goes, "So
Yeah.
what that means now we're going to have a bigger homeless population here in San Antonio, and we're in just those things that Kyle was talking about, the increase in drug abuse and those kind of things. It's getting worse, and it's really scary. It's scary. So we're in a very scary situation."
Yeah, we were talking with Kyle, and thank you for giving us that insight. And something very important that you just said, John. This has become non-partisan. It's like you're talking to people in Eagle Pass. You're talking to the leaders in Laredo, because Henry Cuellar is in Laredo. You're talking to the leaders across the borders and the cities in the border, but also around the whole state, because it's affecting and impacting all of us. So for the leaders in the Democratic Party to work together. So have you seen more and more that you guys are working now together, um, to fight this problem? And I'm sure there's few people in the Democratic Party that is saying this is racist, because I was listening yesterday to one of our commissioners, Adrian Garcia in Harris County, that he was talking to Univision, and he was saying that this bill is just racist. And I don't see any racist on this. I think they're like just saying that because, as you said at the beginning of the you start talking, you said this is a political game. For him, it's a political game. So he's just saying something to win his next election, not
Right.
talking about on the best interest of the community, of the county, of the state. So this is incredible. So give me your insight on that. If it's the majority of the Democrats that are working together with the Republicans to try to solve this situation, or is not, or is just few.
Well, Andrea, you bring up a good point. Nobody knows better than those that are closer to the border. And I would say San Antonio, we're right there in that hub because we're one of those that takes in these folks. Eddie Morales, he's a Democrat there in Eagle Pass, but he doesn't care about party. We don't even discuss party or anything like that. We're here to work on solutions. He's worried his city's being overrun. Henry Cuellar's frustrated. Tony Gonzalez. I think the challenge is when you get more away from this, then they begin to play politics more, and they don't. We need to get every single person that's serving at the U.S. Congress. They need to take a trip and spend a week down at the border. They would change their minds 100%. They don't know what they don't know. All they know is rhetoric stuff. They know the political. Oh, I'm a Democrat. I'm supposed to make this stand. I'm a Republican. I'm supposed to be harder, and I'm supposed to be on this stand. But when you come down here, and I just came back from the Valley. I was there for some touring some youth facilities that we have down there, detention facilities. I sit on the juvenile justice. So I was down there visiting a facility. But the whole talk, when you talk to the general person, they want action. And a lot of them are former Democrats that are saying, "Hey, I'm now looking for more conservative." It's like the conservative Democrats have left them. And so they're coming on saying, "Hey, We want action down here. They don't care about party, and they're saying if the Republicans are going to do it, then they're willing to jump on board. We're seeing a more conservative movement in the Valley just because of this issue. And for me, I don't understand it. If you're in the administration, if you're in the Biden administration, they have to see that. They have to see that, hey, we're even losing popularity out here. Why don't we do something? The people of Texas, the people of the border are crying for a solution. This is destroying all those little border cities down there. It's destroying our state, and it's going to be affecting and already destroying our country. And we need to get a handle on this. And why they're not acting and getting this done, I don't know. It's a legislative problem. It needs to be taken legislatively, but the Biden administration can do things right now to change things. They're going to make a difference, and they're not doing that for whatever reason.
John, I was talking to Kyle and saying that we already have a lack of enough law enforcement at local level, county, and state level. This SB bill, of course, is giving the power to the law enforcement to do what the federal government is supposed to do. So, what do you think it will be the consequences on public safety if they are also doing the federal government job?
Well, that's a good point. A bill like this, I don't think could have passed few years ago. Now it's needed. It's needed today. And I think this is where we're going to see the people cry out. So it's going to be dependent on the local government. How involved do we get? How do we use this? And I think those with the people crying out the most, the law enforcement needs this. This is so taxing on our law enforcement, and we're going to hit it this way. But man, Andrea, think about our hospital districts, our school districts. Now all of a sudden we're going to have an influx of child welfare problems and things that we need to deal with. It's just it's so overwhelming, and it's coming like a wave, and that's the part that scares me. It's already been coming like a wave, and then now here in these last few days, I'm telling you, Eagle Pass said they have never seen an influx like this, and they can't handle it. They're I was talking to the state rep, and he says just totally overrun. He goes, we don't have the resources. When you have them in Eagle Pass telling me that when these people come over, they're going to the Walmarts and the HEBs and just buying up all waters and things they can do to feed them, putting them on a bus and sending them to San Antonio. And so I was talking to our mayor, and our mayor says we're doing our part, but we don't have now the federal funds to send them other places. But I don't even like that. That's not a solution either, sending them other places. So Eagle Pass is getting their problem. They're going to send it to San Antonio. It's a problem for us. And what are we going to do? Send it to other cities down the line? When you have a broken, disorganized, non-functioning process, this is what you get. You get chaos. And until this is addressed, I applaud Governor Abbott in our legislative session for filing these, because we got to put power back in the hands of Texans, because the federal government has abdicated that responsibility.
I want the input of both of you, Kyle and John, on this question. Um, and the positive side out of this negative and horrible things that is going on in the country and in our state, you think that the result of the last midterm elections will be different on the next midterm election, that we're really going to see the red wave as we were expecting the last one? Let's start with Kyle.
I mean, I would say I'd hope so, Andrea. I think people really are tired of the economy. They thought it was going to turn around, the broken promises of Biden to build back better, and it being broke back better, right? So it's impacting everybody's pocketbook, and people still feel it. I mean, we're coming in the holiday season, and I'm trying to do the holiday shopping for and the money just is stretched way too thin. We've had increase in crime and sex trafficking. I know Representative Lujan and I are working on a human trafficking thing with some of the city officials, and we have a massive increase in human trafficking that's devastating to the city of San Antonio and to Representative Lujan's. San Antonio is a hub of that. So you would hope that people start to wake up, and that is the one benefit of what Governor Abbott did of busing, but also even the passing of SB4 and SB3 and getting some national attention. It will hopefully open up people's eyes to there is a reality to the ugly side of the border. And I just want to add one piece, if I can, before you go to John. He's the more important guy, but um, I talked to about 40 or 50 people in the migrant center here in San Antonio, and I asked them very, why are you coming? And the answer obviously translated to me. And then I asked, well, who's telling you about this? And their immediate response was President Biden. President Biden has said they will take care of us if we come to the United States. That's the message that is either being passed by the cartel or somebody else to people across and coming up through Mexico, thousands of miles away. That's the message that if you get to America, President Biden will take care of you.
Wow.
And I mean, you can't be more truthful than that right there. That's what's going on. And that's why the flood is coming. The signal is out. The cartels are benefit from it, making billions and billions of dollars. I've heard estimates of well over hundreds of billions of dollars that the cartel are making off the federal government.
John.
Yeah, and my point, Andrea, just to piggyback on what you said, Kyle, you're right. That's a tremendous amount of money from the Mexico side, because the ones that are paying this, when we're talking to these immigrants, a lot of them are paying $3,000 to $5,000 to come across, and they have to pay that. Nobody crosses without they pay that fee on the other side. And so for them, we're actually supporting organized crime, and they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. This is a big business for them. I'll never forget
Absolutely.
when we take the trip down there. They gave us some vests to wear when we go in the river, and they said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about the vest. They're not going to do nothing to you guys. In fact, they try to make it look clean. They clean it up. They want y'all to see very little, because that's their business, and they're going to take care of their business. More organized, uh, and it's ridiculous. Here we are, the United States of America, and you come to our side, totally disorganized, totally non-functional. If this was a business, you'd fire everybody and you'd get in the top. That brings me to the election side, like you were saying. When I went down to the valley, I see that. I see a lot of more Hispanic people just very upset. You talk people are, and I go back the same way. When people ask me, so you're a racist? I said, no. I said, I'm so pro-immigrant, but I want it organized. I think the door should be wide open, but it's got to be organized. There's got to be a process. You've got to do things the right way. And why they don't set that up, I don't know. I prayed for a wave the last time, and we didn't really have that kind of wave. But I think I just hope so. I hope so. It seems like we need that. We need that to get our country back on track.
I
To John's
absolutely
point,
think so.
Andrew, I think to John's point, I think we are going to see the red wave of people switching more along the Texas Valley that are close to the border. But I think as you go further into the interior United States, I think you're still not seeing it's still not a major problem to them. And I think Governor Abbott has been able to showcase that every city in the United States is a border city right now. And they're feeling the impact. And that's why, again, you're seeing people as far as mayor of New York and Chicago and some of these major hubs that are feeling it. But we'll see, because you can only vote with who you choose. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it needs to take. I mean, we're seeing that this is getting worse and worse and worse every day. What it needs to happen, what it needs to take for them to wake up, I don't know. So I already asked this to Kyle. I'm going to ask you, John. Not only in the midterm elections, but now in the presidential elections 2024, this is one of the biggest issues also in the that to discuss for next year presidential election. How did you see it in the conservative side? It does this is going to help us?
I think it's going to help on the presidential side. I don't know what's going to happen. If Trump comes out, my fear on that, I'm hoping he doesn't have a ceiling already, because he's so divisive, right? People love Trump or they hate Trump, and the folks
Yeah.
that the in between just can't jump on board. So that part scares me a little bit. Does he have enough to win everything if he's a nominee? I think we have some other good candidates. I don't know what the future holds. We got to play it. Man, I get scared, Andrea, when I think of going the other way. I really don't see how Biden could win it, but man, some people, I still see some Biden stickers on some cars, and I don't understand it. I really don't.
I
I
know.
don't. I think he's the best
I know.
thing
It's
for the
frustrated.
Republican Party. Yes.
It's absolutely frustrating. John, so you think this SB4 and SB3 will really be a reality, or what is going to be the bumps in between?
But Andrea, that's going to be for the courts. It just frustrates me because immediately it gets to the courts. Immediately it becomes a political football, when really this could actually be a really good tool. Implemented properly, could be a really good tool to enforce the border, to strengthen it up. But there again, we're having to do things because our federal government is incompetent. That's what bothers me the most. People, you cannot get mad at the legislature. You can't get mad at the governor if you don't like these policies. I don't think we even want to do these things, but because our federal government's not operating, we have to do something, and giving the power back to our law enforcement instead. When you set up the water things, the buoys, and then you have border patrol, who's federal, drive in a boat around the other side to pick up people so they don't, because they're having trouble crossing it, and then bring them to our side. That's our own people working against each other. So stuff like that is just crazy. That's what I mean
Yeah.
by disorganized, no process whatsoever. And then you have, I know they put up the razor wire, and they have portions where they're cutting it to let them to come in because, oh, the wire's too dangerous. That does not make sense. That's money that was spent. Either you do it, you don't do it, but we work together. If our country was united, it's like we're working and the federal government's working, and sometimes we work together, and a lot of times we work at odds, and that should not be the case. That I go back from a business perspective. That's not
No,
a good
no,
business.
absolutely. I mean, the Border Patrol became the EMS and the Red Cross and the nurses and the doctors. They became everything except what they're supposed to do,
Yeah,
and
protect the border.
and they're suffering.
Yes, yes, and a lot of them are very, very frustrated. If people would go down and talk to them on the side, they'll and you get them to open up. Very, very frustrated. And I think those are some of the very first people converting over to the Republican Party.
Yeah. Okay. Well, call to action from both of you, Kyle. What is your call to action? And also, I want to know if you're planning to run for office.
He
Answer
needs
to your
to.
first question, call to action is support John Lujan. Great guy, great representative. Has done a phenomenal work in San Antonio. I'm 100% supportive of my friend and brother, and so that's my call to action. Get out, block walk, call for him. He's doing a lot of great work. I'm personally working on several initiatives with him in his office, and personally just love the guy. So that's my call to action. Second question. Run for office? Yeah, I mean, I absolutely still have in my heart. I think we still have a lot of issues. We need a lot of fixes, both at the national, federal, and state, local level. So my heart is still in it. I will be running again, just working on probably next cycle.
Awesome. And count with TLC, of course, we're going to continue supporting you.
Thank you.
Okay, John, call to action.
Call to action is we have to make things happen. This is a perfect example of that. When we have Joaquin Castro, Congressman Castro, over there saying how this is racist, if you follow any, he's so far off, and he's so far off base. That's who Kyle ran against. Can you imagine if we had Kyle Sinclair there? He wouldn't be playing politics and rhetoric. I know Kyle, he would be over there gathering people, finding solutions. That's the importance of getting out. And it's one thing to say, okay, hey, you know what? I do vote. And you got to do more than that. You have to get involved. You got to get involved in campaigns. You've got to make phone calls. You got to bring 10 other people with you to the poll and have those 10 people bring in 10 people. That's when we begin to make change. If you love your state, if you love your country, you're going to get involved, and you're going to get involved on the right side. Find your candidate, get involved, and get them elected. That's what we need to do. We need to get involved in the game.
Well, thank you so much to both of you, and to get involved. Also, I wanna call both of you. We're gonna have Leadership Latino at the end of January, so hopefully we can count on both of you guys to help us with the future leaders in the community. And you guys are perfectly aware what is the leadership Latino, and we hopefully count with you guys to help us on the classes, not only with your experience in the in the leadership Latino, but also you, Kyle, running for office, being leader of the community, and you, John Lujan, both leader of the community and also being in office. So hopefully we come with you guys at the end of January with Leadership Latino.
Andrea,
Thank you.
anytime I'm invited to speak, I always do. I love you guys. I love your passion. I love your mission. I love the vision. I'm there. You call me. I'm actually very honored whenever I get to speak over there, and I always have a great time. And you guys are awesome. Put on a good class, and I make good long friendships with a lot of those folks. So thank you.
Okay, great. We'll seal the deal.
All
Kyle,
righty.
hope,
Thank
hope
you
to
so
see you
much.
also in January here on the
All right.
class.
Hey, tell
Thank
Orlando we
you.
said hi.
I
Okay.
will. Orlando is not with us today, but he gave me an opportunity to talk more because when he's here, he doesn't let me talk
Okay.
much. So I'm very happy that I did the show by myself.
There you go.
And
You
have you
did a
guys
great
that
job
you are
too. All right.
amazing.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for your time. Keep in touch. Well, thank you so much also for your time on watching us like every Wednesday. And also, not only my call to action is to please support Texas Latino Conservatives. Go to our website, texaslatinoconservatives.com, texaslatinoconservatives.com. Also, you will find a link of Leadership Latino on the top of the bar of the website. So that way you can also join us in the class. Register is at no cost, it's completely free if you're coming from another city than Houston, because the class is going to be in Houston at the end of January. So we will provide the hotel and also up to $200 that we're going to refund on transportation, either if you drive for gas or if you decide to get a plane to come here. We
Hey,
will refund up to $200. So please
what's that?
join us and subscribe. Help us to help our state, because we really need leaders, conservative leaders, to care about the state and to care about this country. Thank you so much for being with us, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Merry Christmas. We're gonna have Christmas, and next year is our New Year is around the corner. So Merry Christmas to everybody, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.